coming to a greater expression of spirit as each one. And as that happens, going out into this world to truly, truly awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence for a world that works for everyone from this sacred place and time, just from knowing that divinity within each one here. And so I just gratefully accept this knowledge, this wisdom of that divinity within each one and within each one in the world right here and right now. As I release this word to the law, knowing this now done in complete wisdom and love. And so it is. Amen.
Beautiful word. Get us started. All right. Good morning, Seaside. It is my honor to introduce our guest artist, and we just love when this human being, human, spiritual, amazing goddess comes down from Los Angeles to be here with us. And, she's been keeping herself busy and singing, and actually recently started a community choir, and is just sharing not only her voice with people, but helping other people find their voice and share it with us as well. So we're so grateful that you're here with us. And let's please give a nice, warm Seaside welcome to Arne Batson.
Stay close. All right. I'm going to be right here.
Ooh, child, I heard you. Good morning, Seaside. It's always just so yummy to come here. Thank you for just having this wonderful space and this great energy that's in here. I don't know about you, but on Sunday mornings, I like revving it up with the little Ricky Byers. So I want everybody to take one hand, take your right hand, the other right, okay? And then I want you to take the other hand, and I want you to put it together. And then do it again, and do it again. Oh, look at that, look at that. Okay, that's your part in this song. That's your part. Ready, band? Get 'em. Hey. Hey. Ah. I need spirit on the main line. Pretty soon I'll be feeling fine. Tighten up my connection. Show me the way to go. I need a better understanding in a world that is so demanding, a world that is moving faster. I feel like I'm moving slow. Give me spirit on the main line, healing in my mind. Listen to the voice inside me, and soon I'll be alright. Rebecca, I say holy, holy, Holy Spirit, Spirit, take me up to. What she did, that's your part, okay? It's coming up. Here we go. When spirit's on the main line, I'm out of space and time. The love of God surrounds me. The answer is everywhere. Oh, holy elevation. I'm one with all creation. The voice so sweetly speaking. The voice is always there. Everybody say holy. I really feel. Now I feel. I don't think you heard me. I said, now I feel. Now I feel. All right.
They had fun.
Rebecca!
Our day, everybody.
Give yourselves a hand. Yes.
That is Arne and Rebecca. Oh my goodness. How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? Woo, me too. I feel all right. Arne, thank you. We're feeling good here today. Wow. I mean, that's the experience we're going for. You know, you can't just talk about that. You got to be here to feel that. Feel all right for sure. Well, when you feel all right, the healing happens. And that's what we've been working on all year long, is about healing those areas of our life that we'd like to have healed, that we'd like to have straightened out, so to be a little bit smoother, a little ease, a little greater grace. And so today's message is about healing through learning, which just, if you may want to notice, kind of just aligns with the whole energetic of going back to school in September. The kids are back. I still have a kid, so I recognize when they're back. The house empties out tomorrow. And I know Mom really likes that. And but also here at Seaside, we've got the classes that are starting up this next week. So I want to encourage you to get back into that groove and just feel that spirit that's calling you. I just got back from a wonderful trip in the mountains down up in Montana, and here's a wonderful sign. Henry David Thoreau is just walled in and being out in nature. He said, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and to see if I could not learn what they had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived." Wow, yeah. You know, the woods have a way of teaching one that kind of thing. You know, I want to go and live deliberately. I want to confront, that which is essential to my being. And sometimes what we've got to do is let go of those things that are keeping us stuck in the turnings of this world. I love what John Muir said, "The mountains are calling, gotta go." It is just, it's fantastic, because what I've come to recognize is one of the greatest confusing elements within my life, or in people's lives, is when their heart and their spirit knows, but the head has got something else going on. It's got a different agenda. And it's like making up stories to get the heart and the spirit to listen to it. And there's something about you at a deeper level that knows this really isn't the truth for me. This isn't what is essential for my life. This is really what's going to keep me from living. But yet the head is making a lot of sense. And so this is the time where we really got to get back into our true nature, which is what classes do, is they help us come to remember what is essential, and that is our connection with the infinite, that we are that vortex, that avenue through which God expresses itself. And so what is our true nature? I mean, I'm sitting there on our mountaintop, or I'm down by the lake, and I'm watching the fish swim, and I recognize that fish don't drown in the lake. They just don't. I'm watching the birds fly, and they're just not falling out of the sky. The sky is for their true nature, and the fish, they're swimming. That's their true nature. Now, if you were to stick the birds in the water and the fish in the sky, you would come to recognize the conflict that comes when you're not in touch with your true nature. But one of the challenges that we have as human beings is that sometimes our nature isn't as clear for us. The fish and the birds are pretty clear. They weren't really given any other options, and that is our blessing as well as our challenge, is that self-discovery. Coming to recognize that we are each here to have our own unique kind of experience, and that as we come into alignment with it, things begin to line up for us. Things begin to move a little bit with greater ease. Healing begins to happen, not because I'm telling God you need to fix this. It's because I've come to remember the true nature, which is my connection with the infinite. I come to be inspired by the divinity of my being, which is Seaside's, our mission. What Seaside is a thriving spiritual community, yeah? I mean, look at the place. It's packed today. What we are is a thriving spiritual community, and our mission, our purpose for being is to inspire people to live their divinity. If everybody in this world was living their divinity, could you imagine how healed and good this planet would be? That is what we are about here. That is what we are doing, is we're working on ourselves and taking that to the world, is for people to be inspired to live their true nature, to live their divinity. Because when you're not, it's like a bird in the water and a fish in the sky. I mean, I was blessed to figure out at an early age, this was my jam. I mean, this is what I came into this world to do. And I love waking up in the morning thinking about inspiring people to live their divinity, to listen to that something, to do that ministry. And I so want for all of us to remember the truth of our true nature and our being. I mean, this is what the classes do for us, is they assist us, they remind us to once again get back in sync with our divinity, with the Spirit of God in and through all things. So when something comes up that is a question, whether it's in our world of affairs or within our body, it's just something that came up for us to remember our divinity, to practice the truth, which is what we continue to do through our meditations as we come to recognize it. So when you are brought to a place of question, you draw on that. And I love the story when James Michener, wonderful author, was invited by then President Dwight Eisenhower to come to dinner at the White House. What a wonderful honor. I mean, by all means. But it was a conflict. He had another engagement on the night in which he was invited to the White House. So what would he do? Well, he wrote a letter, and because it's a great honor. But he said, 3 days prior to your invitation, I agreed to do a few words, a little talk at a dinner honoring a school teacher who taught me how to write. I know that you wouldn't notice if I wasn't at your dinner. And she just might notice if I wasn't. And so I am not going to be able to join you, for your dinner. And as I thought about it, in the course of a person's life, they experience maybe 15, 16 presidents. But an individual only experiences a great teacher rarely in their lives. And Eisenhower agreed and understood. But I share that story. Could you imagine the self-awareness that it took to tell the president, I'm not coming to dinner? You talk about being uncomfortable with who you are, and we are so taught to be people pleasers in our life. And what I come to recognize more and more as I think about people are thinking about me, I come to realize that very few people really are thinking about me. People think about you a lot less than you think they're thinking about you. They really don't. They're really not. But it came from when we were little kids, when your parents told you to behave a certain way. I don't know if you ever were told to be a certain way, but my parents taught me some of the ways to be appropriate in the world. And when I wasn't, I was looking over my shoulder. Are they watching? Because my mom always knew when I wasn't doing what she had told me to do. It's some kind of maternal instinct. They really do have eyes in the back of their heads. But so when I got off into the school and the world, it was like they were still watching me. It's like they had this one-way mirror, like our quiet room in there, or our crying room, or like you're in the doctor's office and they're watching you through that, or you're being whatever they do when you get taken in. They look on the other side of the question, or that's it. And you're being observed. It's like you've got this sense, and when you begin to think, I'm being watched, or I'm trying to please somebody, what it really does is it hampers your spontaneity. It really, if you think that you're being watched, you may not be as spontaneous. You may not be in your joy as much because you have that. But Michener told the president, hey, I can't make it. Now that is being in your nature, connected with your divinity, being in touch with who you are. I've got something a little higher right now going on in my life, and I've got to honor that. Goethe, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, how you like that? German writer, scientist, mystic. He said, behavior is like the mirror that displays our soul. Woo, is right. You know, our behavior is the mirror that really shows our soul to the world. You know, who I am, you can't really hear as much as what it is I'm doing. You know, who you are speaks so loudly I can't even hear what you're saying, is what Emerson said like that. And so what you do with your time is how you spend your love, in a sense. I mean, that's what is out there. And so if you are, just so consumed by the circumstances and situations in your life, and it is just, it's challenging you and stretching you, and it doesn't feel right, and you're out of ease, out of grace. The body's not working, your life's not working, or the abundance isn't flowing. It doesn't mean like you're bad. You don't need to sit there in judgment. It's calling to you to pay attention to these circumstances that you're finding yourself in that are not supporting you, but you continue to remain in these situations that are consuming your time. And it's trying to talk to you and say, hey, Chris, you need to get back into alignment. If you're not into alignment, the flow's not working. In Montana, there's dried out riverbeds. It's because the river or the stream stopped flowing and they're dry. It needs to flow again. You take the kayaks down the river. Like you're in the flow. It's good. I mean, you got to, paddle to the left or right sometimes to stay in the center, or, put the paddle in to, to steer the canoe a little bit. But, if you don't, it's going to, go off to the side. It's going to go in the willows or the rocks or beach itself. Now, it's not like you bad kayak for doing such a thing. It's the nature of the kayak to go off to the side. It doesn't mean it's being evil. It doesn't mean it's being mean. It doesn't mean it's sick. It's the nature of the kayak. You don't sit in judgment. What you got to do is bring it back to the center. Well, in our life, when our world is talking to us and saying, hey, Christian, this is out of balance. This isn't working. I got to pay attention and bring it back to the center, because in the center, I got to have the faith that there's this flow going down the river. I got to have a faith that there's a flow, my true nature, my divinity that is pulling me down the stream. And when I get off center or something's not working, I don't want to sit in judgment of myself. I didn't sit in judgment with the kayak. It's the nature of the kayak, and you got to correct it. In our life, when something's not working, don't judge yourself or don't judge another person. What you do is you just make the correction and you bring it back to that flow. Love to tell you is my analogy, but Lao Tzu, thousands of years ago, talked about the flow, the way, the Tao, Native Americans talked about Wonka Tonka, the Great Spirit. Others have talked about the Holy Spirit. Carl Jung talked about the unconscious. There has been a realization that there is this flow, and we've got to have a faith that it is always there, which is why we want to take our classes, is so we can continue to deepen our spiritual connection. So when we're out of the flow, we can remember, oh, there's a flow. I need to get back into it. I've got to continue to do my spiritual practices so I can remember, not sit there in judgment and say, oh, man, what are you doing? It's like you're sick. You got this challenge. You don't judge yourself. How did I create that? We don't beat ourselves up. We're kind to ourselves and recognize that, what? There needs to be an adjustment here. It's not good or bad. It is life mirroring back to us where I'm at the present time. Ernest Holmes, he tells us, he talks to us about that in his book called Living the Science of Mind. And it takes our spiritual principles and applies them to our life. And the part I want to share with you is the part where he's talking about sickness. We don't have this Pollyanna attitude. It's all God. It's all good. It's all wonderful. Yeah, that really feels good when you're hurting, right? We don't do that. So this is what Ernest said. And Ernest said we're a teaching order, not a preaching one, which is why I'm not out on the pier with my Science of Mind textbook thumping it and saying, hey, listen to what I'm saying, right? So, you identify, you take the initiation, get yourself out of these situations by first recognizing that you're in it. He said in the Science of Mind, we don't say that everything is all right when it's all wrong. We do not say peace when there is no peace, but rather we try to discover what is wrong and why we do not have peace. We do not say that people are poor. We do not say that people are not poor or sick or unhappy. We ask why these things should be if the original cause of all things is harmonious, perfect, radiant, and happy. In many of our physical troubles comes an inward sense of uncertainty and insecurity. Well, then it follows that we must find a security that is greater than our insecurity. That's a great line. That we want to find a security greater than our insecurity, which comes from a sense of being isolated from the universal, separate from the cause of our being, and apart from God. You got that? That's why we do the classes, is we come to remember our divinity. I mean, that's our mission for being, is inspiring people to remember their divinity, to live their divinity, to experience their divinity. And as we experience our divinity, amazing things begin to happen in our life and in our world. Soren Kierkegaard, my mystical buddy, a fellow Dane, probably the first existentialist, is considered the first existentialist, more of a writer, a critique, a philosopher. And he said, anxiety is the dizziness of our freedom. I think, oh man, anxiety is I'm not big on anxiety, but okay. But the dizziness of our freedom, all of a sudden I begin to recognize that our freedom lies beyond our discomfort. You follow me with this? When you first learn to walk, and you're holding on to mom and dad's hands, there's probably an anxiety or something, a letting go. But in that is the dizziness, is our freedom. Your first love, that definitely probably stirred some energy. Oh yeah, that's the dizziness of your freedom. We were watching these eagles. We have this eagle's nest above our deck in Montana, the osprey. They've been there the 10 years we have been there. And every year they have their little brood of babies. This year there were 3 eaglets in there. And we watched them. They were learning to fly when we got there. And sometimes these littler ones flew in a perfect pattern together. But so often they would come in to land on this nest on the top of a 75-foot pine and miss it. You'd see them land on the edge, and then they would stumble off and be flapping their wings, and then try to land on the top of another pine and just be falling all over. It was just funny to watch. It would have been a good Discovery Channel thing. But, it's just, we've got to recognize that we've got to move through that initial discomfort that comes when you're on a path in nature and you come to the fork. Yogi Berra said, take it, but that's not. When you come to it, you don't know. When you come to the edge of what you know, that's where the adventure comes. That's where the excitement comes. That's where the self-discovery comes. That is where the newness comes. What happens is when we get caught up in some of the old circumstances and we don't initiate change, and those circumstances do not support us, what happens is people sometimes tend to stay in it because it's what they know. It is their security. They prefer security over their soul being in its nature, fish swimming in the water, the birds flying, situations like they're drowning, but at least it's what they know. They are conforming, they got the support. What you've got to do is when you come to that end, you've got to recognize this anxiety is coming up. Am I going to be stopped by this fence that says that's the end of the known path? Or am I going to find the dizziness, that energy that comes with going a little bit further than you have gone before? But there lies the freedom, which is why we take our classwork to help deepen our connection with the divinity, with the divine. So when we come to it, we don't give in to the anxiety, but we're willing to step into the dizziness and find a greater freedom that's on the other side of that. Yes, that's right. So before I left on this trip, I sold my car. I have been driving this little sports car convertible since '02, that style of car. 17 years. That's a long time for a car, but it was just so me. It was so beachy. It was so cool. And I can remember when I got it in '02, my mom was still alive, and she was so excited and proud of me, and it was fun. And so I let this little convertible go. And so we're in Montana. And I'm realizing I'm coming home, and there's not going to be any wheels for this guy to get back and forth. The Sunday before, I was going to Uber it over. I don't even remember how I got here. I wasn't going to ride my bike with my clothes on. But anyway, so I came across a truck, a pickup truck. And it's like, you talk a little convertible sports car, pickup truck. Well, now, the good thing is this pickup truck actually got better mileage than my 8-cylinder, and it used regular instead of super. So, that was good. It's Echo Boost. And it's like everything I really wanted, But it was what I went through, the anxiety of, am I worth it? What you guys going to think? Image change from beach guy to mountain man, did I want to spend this kind of money? It was like amazing what I actually put myself through mentally before making this decision. The fact that I didn't have any wheels to come home to helped, I assure you. But not at 3 a.m. in the morning when I'm running these tapes through my head. So, eventually I did get it. But, and I'm sure it was never in question other than I put myself through this wonderful. But I want us to understand that we do this to ourselves with this kind of information. You've got to trust. You've got to be connected enough with Spirit that you're able, in those midst of questions, to go back. It's why we do our classes, to get those spiritual principles deep. I encourage you to be in the classes this fall. And in the meditation, we come to know it. So when we get to the edge, when we come to that moment of signing on the dotted line, when we hear what the doctor says that doesn't necessarily agree with our image of ourselves, we are able to, rather than be taken by the mind and the thinking to a place we don't want to go, and come back to, Spirit is here. It's my stuff that's mixing up the pot. It'd be, let's say somebody, I don't know, they live in the Midwest and they want to come live beautiful North County, San Diego, the beach towns. They've been reading about Encinitas forever. They come here about Easter time. They find a beautiful house on the bluff right on Neptune overlooking the ocean. Easter was the end of April, so about that time, May, gray starts rolling in. Right? Then they came to learn about June gloom, right? And if it was this year, we didn't get much sun in July either. It even creeped into August. We barely had sun before we left. But these people, after 3 months, by the end of July, they're out of here. That's like, man, I came here for sun, and this place is nothing but fog and clouds and cold, and forget it. Yeah, and that's what happens sometimes in our life. We get this fog, this cloud, this something that is so contrary to our nature, but it is the opportunity for us to move through that. But after a few months, they say, I'm out of here. After a few of these bombarding thoughts at 3 a.m. in the morning, I have lost touch with my true nature, with my God self, with my divinity. So what we got to do is empty that. If your head is filled with the fears, the concerns, the thoughts, the headlines, the things of this world, where is the space for Spirit to show up? If you got a mouthful of unchewed food, there's not any room for anything else. There's no room to talk. When your mind is filled with unsorted, garbage, there isn't room. And it's not cleaned up through sorting, storing, thinking yourself through, all that stuff. The answer is pretty much conveyed through all the great spiritual teachings that say in the stillness. You go to the stillness. And in Montana, I've got this mountaintop, sits right between our two lakes. It's where I wrote my book, Living from the Mountaintop, or I would go to in consciousness and sit there and write from there. And what I came to experience again is that in the stillness, it's as if there's holes bored into all of that, and all that which isn't supportive of your true nature, your divinity, begins to just fall out. And what's left are the essentials. And so here's an exercise for you. Pretend like your mind is a suitcase and you can only take 5 thoughts or 5 items with you. Not all those that are bombarding your mind, but if there were only 5 that you could put into the suitcase of consciousness and take with you forward, what would they be? What would they be? See, there's something inside of you that knows those top 5 things. Not all the tunes going through your head, but the top 5 tunes that support your true nature, your God nature. This is why we meditate. This is why we do our classes. And our healing comes through our learning. We come to recognize, we don't deny that there's a challenge here, the circumstance that we're in that we don't seem to initiate to get ourselves out of. But you know what? It's tearing us down. There's something inside of us that wants to know and wants to remember. I started my book, Living from the Mountaintop, with a single quote from Emerson. You find it, the first page, even before you start all that long reading. It says, that which lies behind us and that which lies before us are teeny matters compared to what lies within us. And the only one who can get there is you. That's it. You know, Edison made it famous. His naps, anyway, became famous, at least the story of his naps, in the sense that he would lie down on the couch in the afternoon when he couldn't come up with something. You know, his mind was stuck. I don't have the answer. There isn't. He would go to that place, and it said that he'd hold a rock in his hand, and he would lie there and go like into that alpha state, and then boom, when he went too deep, he'd drop the rock and it'd startle him and wake him up, and he'd have the answer. He had connected with that river, that stream. You know, there was a faith about him that knew that there was a current, there was the Tao, there was something there that did know. He had more faith in a greater security than in that lesser insecurity. I'm going for the trifecta here, the 3 E's. The E cubed. Well, we talked Emerson, Edison, that leaves Einstein. And a wonderful famous line of his is that our imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. Your true nature is going to bring up that good. It's going to show you how to swim if you're in the water, fly if you're in the sky, or what to say if you're before a crowd. It is your mind that's going to put in the other kind of pieces, and you want to keep your eyes focused on spirit. You know, when a little kid learning to walk and they let go of mom and dad's hand for the first time, you know, they may have had that anxiety, dizziness going on, but you know where they were looking. Right at mom or dad. As you know the story of Jesus, and the Sea of Galilee was rough, and the guys were out on the boat. Why they were out in the middle of a storm, I don't know. But, you know, all of a sudden, they see Jesus walking across this waved Sea of Galilee. Imagine, that'd be pretty crazy, seeing somebody walk across a stormy sea. But anyway, he gets to the boat, and he tells Peter, you know, comes wants to walk. He comes out, and Jesus says, "Just look at me." And as long as he looked at Jesus, it was good. But as soon as he took his eyes off, and the ferry started to sink, it's like, whoa! And that's what it is. When we take our eyes off our true nature, when we take our eyes off that which we are truly meant to be in this world, when we forget that there is a current that is going down the center, and then we have the faith that is there, we can turn to that because we have become familiar with it. We begin to remember and be inspired by the divinity of our being as opposed to held back by the insecurities, the fears, the headlines, or what is put out there, because what is in you is greater than what is out there. And it is important for us to find a greater security than our insecurities. And we can do that when we continuously go back and create the space for spirit to bring forth a new thought and a new idea so we can bring this to the world. God bless us as we experience our health. Love you guys. Hey, let's keep it going as we bring Arne back to our stage.
Man, I like that. Packing the suitcase. You can start playing whenever. Is it okay if I get a little personal here? Is that all right with y'all? I got a little something to tell. Not that fast, though. So this song woke me up from a very good sleep. But I learned from Ricky Byers that when songs want to be born, get up. And I had to take a minute to think about it, because what I realized was the thing that I was going through, the situation that I was seeking healing for, at that moment, it didn't hurt anymore. And I realized, wow, I hadn't thought about that thing for a while. I know none of y'all know anything what I'm talking about, because everybody's life here is perfect. Nobody has issues. Nobody has betrayals, troubles, situations. So humor me. But it didn't hurt anymore. And so there was a joy that I felt come through. The song is Reveal It to Heal It. Here we go. Somebody hurt your feelings. Somebody hurt your pride. Somebody disappointed you, baby. And somebody told you a whole bunch of lies. Our hardest lessons are our greatest blessings. Love, it's your grace. Surrender, it's your way. Reveal it to heal it. Yes. Let go of useless pride. There's no more need to hide. Reveal it to heal it. You gotta go through it to grow to it. And with love as your guide, you'll get to the other side. Yes, you will. Now, these are some things I said to myself. How could I let that thing happen to me? Why didn't I just ask for help? Sound familiar? It's my fault. I'm not worthy. I must have deserved it. I said that a lot. And I'm so ashamed of myself. Oh, our hardest lessons are our greatest blessings. Love elevates, and surrender is the way. Reveal it to heal it, please. Let go of useless pride. There's no more need to hide. Reveal it to heal it. You gotta go through it to grow to it. And with love as your guide, you'll get to the other side. Anybody know what I'm talking about here today? Does anybody know what I'm talking about here today? I think there's one person who knows that it all comes back to love. Even if it's self-love, it all comes back to love. It's remembering who you are, taking a minute to breathe, letting it out, release and let go. Oh, remember, you can heal your heart with love. You can heal your hurt with love. You can heal your aligns us. Love reminds us. And love supplies, love supplies, love supplies us. You can heal your heart with love. I know I healed all my hurt with love. Oh, and I healed my pain with love. Yes, I did. And I healed all my shame. Healed all my shame. I had to reveal it. Yes, I did. Reveal it to heal it. Ooh, let go. Let go of your useless pride. Ain't got no more need to hide. Reveal it to heal it. You gotta go through it. You gotta go through it to grow. To grow to it. And with love, keep love, be love, speak love, remember love, keep love, and therapy at your side. You will, you will, you will, you will. I know, I know, I know, I know. You'll get to the other side. Ooh, yeah. Give it up for the band here.
That is Arne. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Got to reveal it to heal it. You got to grow through it to go to it. I mean, that's good stuff. Man, wow. I just feel so good. Hey, this is the time of our service where we have the opportunity to share our love, to share our gift, to support really the mission of what Seaside is about, is to inspire people to live their divinity and know that your gift allows you to be in that partnership with Spirit. That if you support where it supports you spiritually, you'll find Spirit supporting you in all aspects of your life because it is omnipresent. So I invite you to listen to your heart and to give from the fullness of who you are in that overflow and just be in that wonderful, wonderful circulation. And you'll find a blessing and a security and a peace that comes knowing your source. So with that, I'd like to invite our ushers to come forward at this time, and I'll grab my gift, and I want to say thank you to to those that mail in your contributions when they can't be here on a Sunday, as well as those that participate with on the Auto Tithe program. That regular systematic support just allows us to systematically and regularly remembering our source is Spirit. And so thank you, those at home. We know that you're there. We receive your gifts. We know that the ministry of Seaside, of inspiring people to live their divinity, is beyond our walls and beyond our campus. And so it is a joy to be able to be a place where that light is shined. And so this is an important moment in every service that allows us to continue to do what it is we do. And so I share this prayer of gratitude with the most generous of spiritual communities, knowing that this truly is a blessed moment where the fullness of God has its way, inspiring our life and our awareness and filling our awareness with that which is greater, a greater security in that infinite, that sense of divinity, that sense of wholeness, that sense of who we are that we come to experience in the stillness, in our meditations, in our studies. We come to recognize that God is our source, and it is one thing to know that, but it's entirely different to experience that. And so we move from the conceptual to the experiential, participating with the wonderful flow of life, knowing that we are that divine tap to the infinite reservoir that allows that Spirit to take form within our life. And as it is pointed towards Spirit's work, we find Spirit's work showing up in all aspects of our world. I say thank you, Father, Mother God, for the joy of supporting the greater good of Spirit taking form. And so with a sense of deep peace and well-being, just say, and so it is. Amen. Together, let us say this affirmation of abundance, which is, Spirit continues to bless my world. Gratefully, I live as the giving expression of Spirit, opening the floodgates of the affluent flow of greater good as my life now. guys from Seaside. So I stand before this bounty, and I can just feel the outpouring of love, of caring and compassion and support of Spirit's work. A declaration and a statement of gratitude and appreciation for the continual flow and manifestation of God's abundant good. For truly, the giver is blessed in ways that exceed expectations, for Spirit is omnipresent, and the blessings of that good shows up within the giver's lives. For the streams are many, and I know right now that as we have created space in our awareness and our receptivity through our action, we become a greater recipient of that expanding abundant good. So with joy we have been given this gift has been given, and in love it is received, it is handled in good stewardship, and it's continually put back into the flow, bringing the blessings to everyone it comes in contact. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this opportunity to participate in this ever expanding, abundant, prospering good, and so it is. Amen. This is Mark Sands. He is your board treasurer here at Seaside, keeping a good eye on us and taking care of our gifts and offerings. And just thank you for the stability and the forethought in your leadership with our finances. Yes, absolutely. Mark Sands and Arne. Oh my goodness, you're fabulous, wonderful. We miss you. Gotta get down here some more. We just love you. Man, you got that spirit. And Rebecca, it's always a joy to do Sunday mornings with you, watching you dancing on the stage. And Dr. Christina, a joy to share Sundays with you, and your readings and your consciousness you bring is big. Giving us sound today is Matthew. Appreciate you. Giving us the visuals today is Steve Grant. And the guys behind the camera and in the editing room, we thank you, because we're sharing this with literally hundreds and hundreds of people today and throughout the course of the week. So there's a lot of good that is going on beyond here. And so we know you're at home, and just keep those chat rooms going. David Masters was on it today, facilitating the conversation. We have an online community, guys. I mean, there is a regular group that, like, all of us come here on Sundays, they go there online. It is pretty amazing what's happening there. So that's good. But what's going on here is classes are starting in a week. So sign up, healing through learning, revealing is part of the learning process. You got to reveal to heal. You got to go through it to get to it. We just heard all that sung, and that's the way it works. So if you have never taken the foundation class, do so with me on Tuesday nights. I'll give you the basic principles of the meditation, how to just be inspired to know your divinity and live by that. And if you've taken that, you got the roots. Deb Sadler's doing a great job with introducing those who influenced Ernest Holmes. So those classes are being available. Chair yoga is going on. So those things are happening. And the other big piece, we've got the golf tournament coming up. That's big. So make sure you sign up for that. Go out, see if I'm really going to swing a club this year. I swung the club so many times last year. I already got my quota in for this year. So I'm still thinking about it. But I'm definitely going to be there. You're going to be there, Rebecca? You're singing, right? Yeah, unless Sheila pulls you away from us or something. Yeah. But at this point, you're still in town. You're going to be home. I'll talk to her. Just give me her number. So anyway, and then the other big thing is on the 22nd, a week from next Sunday, is your board of trustees is throwing a party. They're just a party to say, we love you, we thank you, we appreciate you for your support this year. It's been a great year. And annually, they've been throwing a concert and lunch together. And we got a great singer this year, Kenny Dye. Yeah, Kenny Dye. She's going to be here, and she just has a wonderful presence and songs, and we see her playing all over town. She's going to be here after the service on the 29th. And Susan, you've got the board organized. We're going to have a fiesta, like street tacos, are we? Something. Anyway, there's food, and there's no cost. It's our gift saying we love you, we appreciate you, we thank you. So it's a good time to bring a couple friends with you. Let them see Seaside. It's going to be a good day. But I want to talk to our kids for a second, just see. Anybody want to share anything? Hey, okay. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. How old are you? 7. And so 8. Oh, 8. So are you driving yet?
No.
No, not yet. Well, what grade are you in?
Second.
Second grade. Oh my, are you smart? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are. That's good. All right. Hey, good to see you here. Thanks for stepping in. Anybody else want to talk? Yes. Get her here. There you go. We'll go here first.
I'm thankful for my grandma and my Mimi and Papa.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We made cards for our grandparents for Grandparents' Day today and celebrated his birthday.
Really? Grandparents' Day. Nice.
It's National Grandparents Day.
Hey, happy, make sure you call the kids, remind them, yeah, the grandkids. So, anyway, hey, let's say together our wonderful affirmation. We see you, we love you, and we support you in your magnificence. Hey, how'd that feel? So I'm going to pray, but I just want to just announce, while I was gone in the last couple of weeks, a dear, dear friend of mine and of Seaside's the Reverend Dr. Alice Bandy made her transition. And Alice, I don't know if you guys know, but she started right about the time I did, and she, for 10 years, was responsible for the marketing of this place, definitely a partner. She was solely responsible, really, for marketing Seaside into the world, birthing this place. And when Seaside went to the courtrooms to bid on this property, and we had our practitioners in the back, Steve as Osmo Kramer in his checkered coat, which and as a practitioner, but Alice was the one sitting next to me, and then the movement stole her from Seaside and put her ahead of the whole ecclesiastical affairs of the organization. And the education, the certificated educated classes that have been going on for the last decade have solely came through her hands. She has been a pillar in consciousness, dear friend, and early instigator of Seaside, and is going to be just dearly missed. And I understand we're going to do a service here. The family already held their private one, but there's a lot of her friends here at Seaside that love her and want to remember her in a way. So we'll let you know that's forthcoming. But I just wanted to acknowledge, she was in the foundation class. I got her going into religious science, and she rose to the top of it all. And beyond the movement, continued to have a following, a family, a clan, and a tribe of people that met with her on a regular basis. So just wanted to remember her with the fullness of my heart. And yeah. And so with that full heart, I can feel love. I can feel that presence, the divine, God itself. For there's something wonderful here today, up to each and every one of us to personalize it, to feel it, to sense it. It's not words, and it's not thoughts, and it's not the intellect. It is what the spirit and the heart and the soul know to be true. The mind may want to get a grasp on it, but there's something more than. And in this expansiveness of remembering that first cause, that all initiating life force, that first breath, feeling it, sensing it, coming into alignment, remembering, healing happens. Transformation unfolds because there isn't space for otherness. It is in this moment that I choose to recognize the fullness, the presence of God. It's omnipresence. It is all things. It is infinite. And I am one with this. Each and every one of us is this expressing. And so it's in this moment we continue to move up in that greater awareness of that presence, creating greater space in our field of understanding the truth of being. And it's in this felt sense that is beyond description that things begin to click and heal and transform and evolve and emerge within our life that just so reflect the true nature of being. And I know that each and every one of us is able to find that true nature of our self-expression. And with this kind of flow, healing happens because spirit is moving and grooving and purging out anything unlike itself. The body of ours is a temple of God, and it knows how to heal itself. So I'm not afraid to say that there is something impaired or out of ease, but rather I choose to reveal what is going on. And as Ernest says, take a look at it and hold it up to the harmonious expression of the infinite and say, what is it I need to know here? And healing unfolds. It's as I'm willing to be real with what's going on in my life that I begin to recognize there's so much more to life than just knowing about aerodynamics as opposed to actually flying. There's the experience of flying. There's the experience of sensing God. And it's in this felt sense that healing happens in those areas that are relevant and real. The body comes back into alignment. The world of affairs begins to click and move into a supportive space of that for which each of us has been called to do and to be as we step into our true nature, allowing ourselves to be that conduit of the God expression, bringing forth the gifts that we have, which are the perfect gifts, not being self-conscious, but of the boldness of our individual expression that is willing to say no to the president for dinner because there is something that is of greater calling. There is a self-knowingness that is able to look in at 3 o'clock in the morning, the depth of night, the time when the dogs are sleeping and the owls are staring into who knows what, and the heavens are dripping the honey upon the earth, and realize that I am part of this. And in this knowingness, healing happens. As I continue to deepen my spiritual awareness and education and learning, I come to know that in all those times of anxiety and the fog, Spirit always is, has been, and forever will be. And I put my faith on that current that never stops flowing, that current of life. I have a faith that is there in my times of question. And I begin to know from a deeper place the richness and the fullness and the glory of God that shows up in relationships, in work, in friendships, in life. I know for Seaside that as we move into this fall educational season, it is a thriving time of expansive, positive growth, that the prayer requests are being answered. Everyone who puts a prayer request in is finding fulfillment therein. Something good that is going on at Seaside truly is that thriving spiritual community that is growing and prospering because it knows its mission, and that is to inspire people to live their divinity. And for that, we align and bring this light to the world, finding the healing starting within our own self and the prospering expression of God having its way perfectly as our experience. So knowing Spirit is omnipresent, that our wonderful, dear, beloved Reverend Dr. Alice Bandy, that she moves on with those wonderful currents of eternality, that she had fulfilled her mission and her purpose in this world. And that light and that wisdom that she had brought and activated in so many continues on with these wonderful currents, bringing that to a far greater expansiveness. And her legacy continues to live on through all the curriculum she left for humanity. Thank you, God, for the deep knowingness and a belief and an application and the practice and the experience of this faith, without judgment, but with love. And I let go to this, I trust this, and know that healing is having its way, for God is having its way. God's grace is sufficient. I let go, allow the fullness of Spirit to be. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. And this is what you have to say. Come on. Release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is
open to God's grand and glorious ways. Together, I am open to God's grand and glorious ways. Touch your heart and say it again. I am open to God's grand and glorious ways. Say it with a lot of fun this time. I am open to God's grand and glorious ways. And our song of grace.
I'm living in love. I'm living in peace. I'm living my life for what I believe. Through joys and through fears, in this world I walk. God's grace shines on me, and it shines on us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We're living in love. We're living in peace. United we stand as one family. We honor all truth as together we walk. God's grace moves through me, and it moves through us all. We are living in grace. 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 Have a wonderful Sunday, Seaside. Remember to bring a friend. All right.